What's up, everybody? This is Pete here at Spawn Fly Fish, and getting away from big streamers and all that good stuff to throw you a tiny little Baetis pattern. So in the vise, we've got a Daiichi 1120, and this is a size 16. And for the bead, I've got a hairline little 5/64 black bead. For the thread, I'm rocking just some regular UniThread 8/0, nothing crazy. And so I'm gonna get some thread started there. If you notice, I'm not using any wire to get this thing extra heavy or anything like that. This is just a simple get it done and catch some fish kind of Baetis. So for the tail and what will be the legs later on, just gonna use some strung fuzzy fiber. And I've got, I think, 3 or 4 of them here. It's a little bit tough to see one of them stretched out on me, but I'm just going to tie these in right on top and work them down, and that's our tail. Pretty simple so far. And 16 is probably as big as I'll tie these guys. Nothing crazy. Baetis are very small, tiny mayfly. So as far as cutting these tails now, all I'm looking at is to emulate roughly a body length, and there's our tails. We can fluff with those later as we finish the fly. So for our next element, we're going to tie in the body, and for that we are going to use a stripped Peacock Quill. And I know what you're probably thinking, how do we get our own stripped Peacock Quill? So why don't we go find out? All right, folks, so here we have a piece of Peacock Herl and an ever expensive mechanical pencil. I think you can get these for like 50 for $1 if you go to the right place. Anyway, all I'm gonna do, I've got the base of the quill down here and the tip up here. I'm holding it with 2 fingers, and all I'm gonna do is start running this eraser down the quill, and you can already see it's peeling all those fibers off, and then I'll just flip it over and get the other side. And it's tough to see on this mat, and this mat's actually textured, so it's leaving a little gap, but I'll try to raise it up here and show you what the effect is. And that's, we're slowly pulling all those fibers off, and you just need to be patient with this. If you rush it or pull too much or put too much pressure, then you'll probably break that quill. And for this reason, I don't like to use the eyed sticks to pull them off. I'll just go with a cheaper pack of Herl that's already been pulled off and remove those fibers, and that's it. All right, so now we've got our quill prepared. We've taken off all the fibers from both sides. And now, if you really want to get picky, you can look at the core or center of this quill. And on one side, you'll see a line that divides it right down the middle, and on the other side you will not see a line that divides it down the middle. And what that's going to tell you is which side was concave and which side was convex. So what we're trying for, and it's tough on these small quills to actually see that line sometimes, but what we're going to do is tie this so that that line, if you found it and it's visible, is not against the shank but is actually looking up away from the shank. And the reason we do that is because the side that does not have that line delineating down the middle is the one that's going to be visible when we start to wrap. And that side actually has a bit of a natural bar or darker edge on one side. So here we are up to behind the bead, and we can start wrapping this quill. One thing you can do with these quills is just get a damp paper towel, lay them on there, sandwich it with the other side, and let them get moist. Once they're moist, they're less apt to break. However, that's not foolproof, so a little bit of patience with these quills does go a long way. Now that I've got it started and I'm kind of past that hook point, I'll turn this so you guys can see. All I'm trying to do here is make touching wraps, and you'll see what happens is if I can continue that, then I'm going to have natural segmentation built into this body just because of the darker edge that's on the natural Peacock Quill. And to me, there's not much buggier as far as a natural effect than strip Peacock Quills used as a body. And keep in mind, if you don't want to erase fibers off of your quill, you can use a bleach bath, but we'll get into that in a separate video for sure. Okay, so now I'm right behind the bead, just like any other material here. Tie that off. Bring it back, get a wrap or two in front, and I can clip that out. And with these Baetis, there's not a whole lot going on. So the nice thing is that we are pretty much halfway done with this fly already. So we're just going to tie in a small section of Veevus, and this is their pearl tinsel, and the size is large, and I know it seems like a lot, but it's okay. It's not going to look like so much when we get it tied in. So it's going to create a thorax here. So roughly 1/3 of the entire body length is dedicated for this thorax. And now I'm going to just use some black peacock ice dub, and a little bit goes a long way. We really want a tight dub here. So take your time prepping this on the thread, and we're not going for a big bulky thorax by any means, just a highlight. And the black peacock I think is great because dark tone, typical of a thorax, but then it's got these little glints of green and flash built in, and the fish absolutely do respond to that. So I'm going to make sure I go all the way back past where I tied that flash in, or our Veevus tinsel, and then come back up once again to right behind the bead. Nothing crazy. This is pretty simple as far as tiny flies go. So now we've retained those 3 fibers we used for the tail. So all I'm going to do now is tie in some legs, and I'll do my side and make sure these little fibers stay where they're supposed to be. And then I can cut the rear portion so that it's reaching back to the rear of the body, like so. And I will do the same thing now on your side. Just catch it there, and I can tell you that is so buggy. And one more securing wrap there. And the same deal, I'm going to look at where these legs match up with the back or rear portion of that body and cut them like so. Except for that little guy wants to stay here. All right, so just so you can see, I've not cut the fibers off of the front yet. So let's go ahead, and now that we see where the positioning is and we like it, I hope you like it, we're going to cut those legs out. And like so. And then as a finishing touch, now we'll take that little wing case of the Veevus tinsel and simply pull that forward. And now we'll tie that off behind the bead. And 3 good wraps there, and pull it back. And on this, you're not going to have a lot of material to tie back over itself, so just be mindful of that, and maybe don't trim quite as close as you're used to trimming. All right, the only thing left here is some whip finish and some cement. And there's one. Snug it up. Let's get another whip finish in here, like so. And that is all she wrote for tying this thing up. Now let's put a little cement on there. And with the cement, I'm going to do not just the thread wraps, but I'm going to get a little bit on that Veevus tinsel as well. Help strengthen that wing pad up just a touch. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but perhaps an extra fish difference, and I'm okay with that. And keep in mind, these Baetis are usually very small, so size 16 down to 22 or even 24, and that should get you into some fish, especially on picky trout if you're fishing tailwater system. You can see there's not a lot of exactness to this fly, but we are looking for those tails to be noticeable, the legs coming out to be noticeable, much like a hatching bug or transitioning bug. And then, of course, we've got the little trigger from the thorax in there with the peacock black ice dub, and our segmentation built in for us by using some natural peacock quill. So I hope everybody ties a bunch of these. We'd love to see what you're tying if you're watching these videos. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. We'll address them. And as always, please hit like and subscribe. It not only makes a difference, it makes us smile. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we will see you on the water.